Well, if you haven't watched too many of these games, I'm glad you're watching this one. I think you're in for a treat. This is me playing the what we're calling New Queen deck. It's basically got all the tricks of the old 5-color control deck, minus a little bit of board sweeping and plus some lockdown in the form of opposition and a few other things, power cards. So I'll show you the deck list at the end, but I think you're going to enjoy this game. It's quite an amazing battle. So my opponent, he's playing Prime Speaker Zegana. It's pretty powerful, actually, creature. You usually only need to use it, once to get really good value out of it, and then probably going to win. And of course, he leads off with turn 1 Sol Ring, which I don't have the problem with it that Brian does, because I can do the same thing, but it always makes the game a lot harder. So I open with a Pilgrim. I'm only 1 mana behind him now. But he Explosive Vegetation, so yeah, 6-2 at the moment. So I figured I'd just get down this way and set up a counter spell for whatever crazy thing he was going to play. And it's Mana Search, so I decide I really don't want him ramping up to 8 mana. So I throw the counter on it. He just gets a Coiling Oracle into Primeval Bounty, and this is where my problems start. So whenever he casts a creature, he gets another creature, a 3/3 creature. A non-creature gives 3+1/+1 counters on a creature he controls, and a land gives him 3 life. But we don't care if he plays lands, and getting creatures bigger could be bad, but we've got opposition, so that's okay. But making free guys, he could possibly outpace me. So in some sense, I wish I had held the counter. Anyway, that's what he revealed with Coiling Oracle. So for my turn, top deck Bant Charm and pop the Wayfarer so that I can start to get in this game, get caught up on mana, right? And I decide I'm going to kill his Sol Ring, rather. And now it's 5 mana to actually me being ahead. At least for a turn. Well, he's got 6 now. 6 to my 7. So there's that doggone thing, and we'll see how this plays out. Of course, the goal is just to restrict his mana to the point that he can't cast anything, and then that card won't matter. Anyway, so with that in mind, I pick up a Bant Charm and then try to lock down his screen. But he's got Slice and Twain. So not only does he get to kill my opposition, but he gets to draw a card while he does it. So now I'm back to kind of square one again. And what really sucks too is, if you notice, my Witness is already used up. So the next play for me is go get Arbor, because basically it has Summoning Sickness, but Cradle doesn't, so it's just a freebie now, and then in the future that's bonus mana for me. And I take a look, and this is what I see. So I set the Plow on top and get down with Shackles and pass the turn. He's got his 4/4 Coiling Oracle, so he plays his Prime Speaker, and I have to plow the Oracle in order to... I'm still wasn't totally used to what would happen with the Primeval Bounty and how good it is for his commander, but I plowed the Oracle to prevent him from drawing the cards, but he gets a beast, so he gets to draw 3 plus the 1 power, so 4 cards. He probably would have drawn 5 in discard, so I really just wasted my sword. So during my upkeep, I decide I'm going to Bant Charm away his commander. I just don't want to deal with it. Any potential shenanigans that it might induce. and he plays Wurmcoil Engine, which, you know, is an annoying creature, but not too bad. I've got Shackles. Plays Fauna Shaman. Fits that same description. Annoying, but not too bad. I've got Shackles. So I look with my Vault, shuffling that way, deciding I don't like what's on top at all. I look again, and there's a pod. So I go ahead and use the rest of my mana. Instead of Wayfaring, I use my mana to steal a Shaman. So now I've got an active Shaman, I've got a pod on top of my deck. I do have no cards in hand, but not a bad situation here to be in. And I take a peek, and there's a Noble Hierarch, so... Alright, he becomes... Unfortunately, I have to kill my top, or shuffle my top back in, but he becomes Gleniundra. And this is probably... I don't know. Well, we'll see. So I get Gleniundra. So if you take a look at how the mana is all working out, I'm actually... I actually have 3 floating. So if I spend a blue, that's 4 for Gleniundra. If I spend 1, 2, 3 for pod, I can't use the pod and I can't activate Glen. But if I Wayfare for Tomb and play the Tomb, I've got Gleniundra, pod by paying life, and an activation by paying life. And I've got a pretty good board state. I've got an active Birthing Pod, a Gleniundra to protect it, and the Primeval Bounty's gone. Plus, I can Acidic Slime his Wurmcoil Engine. So, plus, I have active Fauna Shaman via Shackles, who I'm probably going to either use next turn or use and chomp with the Birthing Pod. So, it's looking pretty darn good here, and I figured that should just about wrap it up. But nope. Gleniundra does not help when they play an Indrik Stomphowler. So he kills my Birthing Pod and leaves me with the Shackles, which was an interesting choice. It's a choice I agree with, ultimately. But, he sends in the team, also agree with that. Of course, I take down the engine. So, I mean, I'm in a little bit of a rough spot, but I still have Shackles going, and I've got a Fauna Shaman. So we'll see what I top deck. Strip Mine, not too helpful. So I figure I've got to get some defenses going, so I search for Command Tower and get down with Queen. And of course, there's no way that I can activate Glen now, and there's nothing I can do with Fauna Shaman, so I'm pretty much just done for the turn. And guess what he's got? Praetor's Council. So he's just one of those guys that just plays big spells, ramp, and then big fat, and hopes it gets there. These guys almost always die too. You just lock their mana down and then they scoop it up because they've got nothing. But unfortunately, you know, I'm backpedaling this whole game, so due to the accelerated ramp, the Soul Ring into the 4 mana ramp. So anyway, Praetor's Council, he has no maximum hand size, so he's not going to be discarding, and he gets all this stuff back. Most of it doesn't matter, though. Wurmcoil doesn't matter with Sliver Queen, Primeval Bounty only sort of matters. All that other stuff doesn't matter, but Slice and Twain, that matters. And Soul Ring to play it, that matters. So the worst part is he has exactly the mana he needs to get all that back and kill the Shackles. And all I needed was one more turn. One turn of, you know, Fauna Shaman, or one turn of untapping and having some blue to go with Gleniundra. But alas. The other thing that I did wrong here was I didn't see that I should have activated my Sliver Queen in response and then activated my Cradle. You'll notice I end up 1 mana. I had thought I had enough to make 1 more Sliver, and I come up 1 short due to having let the Fauna Shaman go. Anyway, so upkeep I decided I don't want to take any more damage, and I just pump mana into Slivers and draw Imperial Seal. So he's got crazy good stuff going on. So what do you seal for? So the first thing I do is Wayfarer for Verge. Just because I know that I'm not going to use the mana. I'm not going to need the mana this turn because I'm casting Seal. So I want to get the Verge because on the off chance that I top deck, on the off chance that we're at a position where I have no land in hand and my next draw was Verge and I need the mana and it comes into play tapped, I'll hate it. So I know that I don't need the mana this turn, so that's the land I search for. There aren't all that many good choices left, actually. Cradle, Arbor, Command Tower, Strip Mine, Tomb. I mean, I play a lot of great lands, but you only run so many. So anyway, pretty much just stay done here. Don't want to run my queen into Death Touch. And I thought I would need to attack with Glen Elendra. I figured at this point it was over. He'd get like the trample guy, but no, he gets Avenger of Zendikar. And puts umpteen billion guys into play. Plays a land. Casts Vegetation to get more lands. I thought about countering it with Glen, but I mean, frankly, like, I need a way to stop all these guys anyway, and they're already 1/2s. Like, that's big enough to win the game, so fighting over this isn't going to help me, and I might need Glen for countering something more, significant, like Overrun or something crazy. Time Walk. I mean, who knows? When you play against guys like this that want to run just like a ramp and big spells, and of course they build their decks so that they assume that they'll always have the ramp. So you never really know what you're going to end up actually seeing. So he sends in with everything, pretty much. And I decide I'm going to queen, 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 and block. So first I was lining it up like I was going to multi-block to try to kill some things, and then I thought, every guy I've got is precious. So I just blocked that way. And dropped to 3. 3 is okay for me because I can use Tomb one more time. I can Vampiric Seal once if I happen to come across it. So 2 is like a functional life total, but not a happy one. So that's why I blocked the way that I did. Maybe I should have blocked one more and stopped at 6, but hindsight. So this is the card I went and got. There was no way for me to get one card that would save me from this situation. I needed multiple cards to try to win. And this is the best way for me to get multiple cards. I mean, Edric's not going to do it. And then something like card drawing, like Fact or Fiction, that's not going to do it. Sword of Fire and Ice isn't going to do it. I could put it on Glen and hit him once. I needed, like, cards, lots of cards, and I needed them on demand, and I need them for the rest of the game. And this is pretty much my only option for that. Now, it has great... it's a great engine with Queen and Cradle, but it also fights the Cradle, so you have to be like really careful not to over clamp, and then basically, because you're clamping away lands. I mean, those creatures are lands. They're forests. They don't look like it, but they are, at least until the Cradle is killed. So I figured that was about the right amount of mana, because I need enough to actually cast spells if I draw them. And I start slowly clamping up. So I get that, which is fantastic, because for a cheap investment I'm able to replenish some guys. 5 mana into Queen gets me 2 slivers and a half. 5 into Hermit gets me 5 cards. So I draw all that. And there we go. I decide I've got what I want for the turn. So I mystical. So what do we get? Well, I'll show you. I go and get Regrowth. I mean, this situation looks basically hopeless, right? I mean, you're looking at it like there's no possible way that I can get out of this. We'll see. So I regrowth and then I clamp this guy because I know I'm not going to waste time paying the upkeep. Right now it's about creature count, not creature size. So using my Dryad Arbor, I'm able to regrow opposition, which I'm then able to play. And I just make some more dorks. So let's see what happens. So did I stabilize? Am I okay? I've got a pretty insane opposition token producing engine going. Cradle and Queen. So let's see what happens. We're just going to kind of turbo through all this. Do I have enough? Well, yes, I do. Now, if he has any kind of like take another turn effect, then I lose. And with the way that his deck is working out, it seems like he's the kind of guy that will have something like that. But sometimes you can't give up. You can't give up, and you got to make them beat you. Make them beat you, or as I used to say, give your opponent maximum opportunity to make a mistake. And sometimes, like, I'll play games that I can't win unless they make a mistake, and everything I'm doing is actually to get that to happen, because I have there's no other strategy that I can use to win. This is like that kind of game. So here my opponent gets greedy. I mean, I don't know what else is in his hand, but it seems greedy to me, because he tooth and nails for Primus and Regal Force. So yeah, he has no maximum hand size, and yeah, it's great to draw lots of cards, but I mean, I don't know. I guess that's pretty good. It's strong, but it doesn't kill me. So if I were him, I would have looked for some way to actually, I guess, deal that last point of damage. Like instead of, like, he went and he played a bunch of stuff, Seagate Oracle and stuff. Maybe that's how he found the tooth and nail. I don't really know. What he needed was Lightning Greaves. Anyway. So carrying on with the turn, perhaps he played it perfectly. I can't tell. I don't have enough information. So now here's the problem: the clock was killing me, and if you look at the time, it's like 4 a.m. So I was like sitting there going, "What am I going to do?" And my brain was like really sluggish, and I'm sitting here thinking like, "Okay, the game plan is obviously I cannot tap Tomb, so Tomb is dead." And then what I need to do is I need to untap the Mana Vault, and then on my main phase, tap Gaia's Cradle for a ton of mana, and Wargate into Winter Orb, and then produce some extra dorks, and lock down all of his stuff, and that should do it. Because he's got 26 cards in his hand, and if I allow him to untap, he's certainly going to win. But then I was like, well, I can't do that because he killed opposition. So I need to Snapcaster Mage on the regrow opposition, recast opposition, and I need to Wargate, and I need to figure out how to make all that happen. Probably can't do it. So the only other option would be to actually draw the Winter Orb. But I have a clamp. So that's the play, right? The play is untap Vault, main phase, tap Cradle for a ton, Snapcaster Regrowth, do that, and then start drawing slowly, looking for a Winter Orb or a way to fetch a Winter Orb. But this is what I do. I almost do exactly what I need to. I should have tapped Mine, Verge, not dual land. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the correct play. I almost do it. I almost do it again. And then because it's like 4 a.m., I do the wrong thing. And I'm like rushed and I'm trying to do all the math and everything. I tap Cradle main phase. So I get a bunch of guys. I mean, that part's nice. but I wasted a ton of mana, and look what I draw. So Snapcaster, Regrowth, but now I have to use real mana sources instead of a guy's Cradle mana to play the Regrowth. Opposition, and I'm making guys instead of Enlightened Tutoring, drawing, and orbing him down. But I realized that with 40 seconds on the clock, none of it matters. So I just kind of dink around, and that's it. I time out. So I had the recovery. I had everything I needed. I couldn't think quickly enough and act quickly enough, and also just trying to like run opposition when you have, what is that, 50 permanents in play, and you have like a minute on the clock and you're trying to tap everything down and stuff. It's nigh impossible. But I thought that's pretty close to one of the best recoveries that I've had. Certainly one of the best recoveries I've had in a long time. And although the clock got me, because this was game 2 in a match, I had won the previous one. The clock got me, and I have to chalk it up to like a bittersweet win. So anyway, here's the deck list that I'm playing currently. As a result of that game, and after discussing with Brian, the deck now has Cyclonic Rift in it. I went in and just took out the Factor Fiction that had been in the deck, then out of the deck, then in the deck, then out of the deck. It's kind of redundant, as you saw in that game. Like, I never drew Factor Fiction, but card drawing wasn't a problem. It's too easy for this deck to get Clamp. It's too easy for this deck to get Edric. It's too easy for this deck to get Sword of Fire and Ice. It's too easy for this deck to put a Sphinx into play, or cheat out, get a Birthing Pod or whatever. Like, there's just too much card drawing already built in the deck. It's not necessary to play Factor Fiction. What Factor Fiction's good for is when you get an early draw with, like, Soul Ring, or you get an early Mana Crypt draw, and that's nice. But like I said, I needed to have a Cyclonic Rift, because how much different would that game have been if I had been able to just untap and then tap Cradle main phase and then just draw. Oh, there's a Rift, and then win the game. With the 20 plus mana off of Cradle. So in the future, you may see that. I hope you enjoyed this very long recording, and I look forward to you watching the next video. Thank you.